O Lord of hosts, be with us, for we have none other help in times of adversity but thee. O Lord of hosts, have mercy on us.
His influence was growing. It was very widespread in this sort of revitalization of Greek Orthodoxy, and it alarmed some of the Ottoman authorities, but most particularly various Jewish merchants who saw this as an opportunity to try to gain the ire of the Ottomans towards St. Cosmas, who accused him of inciting a rebellion against the Ottoman Empire, which is not what he was doing at all. What he was doing is calling the Greeks back to their identity, back to their history, back to faith in Christ. And eventually the local Ottoman officials, under the influence of wealthy merchants, we'll put it that way, saw him eventually as a threat to their economic interest and arranged for his arrest and execution. And that occurred in 1779 while in Albania. But like I said, immediately upon his martyrdom, he was venerated as a saint, and he was executed by strangulation, which is pretty unfortunate, as the video mentioned, and then thrown into the river. So 3 days later, Christians found his body floating and incorrupt and took it for burial. And so ever since then, St. Cosmas has been venerated. And it was in his feast day is August 24th. And in 1961, the Ecumenical Patriarchate of Constantinople officially canonized him as St. Kosmas of Aetolia. And so incredible saint. Now, with that being said, I want to start getting into our document today. And again, a major shout out to the Eschaton Vigil. And if you want to download this document, guys, it's for free. All we need is your email address. Let me share that link again. It's cosmos.eschatonvigil.org. And this is for free for everybody. So again, major thank you to the Eschaton Vigil for putting this together and making this stuff available for the first time in English. This is basically all of his prophecies. So you can find various things online in English, but it's not all of them. It's some of them. This is the collection of really everything that we could find online. So major thank you to again, the Eschaton Vigil. But let's get into this. So worldly abode, Philotheu Monastery of Mount Athos, and then a complete list of St. Cosmas prophecies. And what I want to do today is, as we go through and read them, I want to read these footnotes, because that's what makes this document, in my opinion, so fantastic, is the depth of the footnotes and the research that the Eschaton Vigil has put together. So first prophecy: one day this land will become Roman, and blessed is he who will live in that kingdom. So first and second footnote is referring to Roman means Greek, the Eastern Roman Empire, right? So Greeks view themselves as the inheritors of the Roman Empire. And then spoken in various parts of occupied Greece, which were later liberated from the Turkish yoke. So blessed is he who will live in that kingdom. Again, references to the Greek Revolution. Looks like we have a few super chats. Major thank you to David James Flood for gifting a COTEL Crew membership. Thank you very much, brother. Shout out to Bill Hicks for becoming a COTEL Crew member. God bless you, brother. And a major thank you to Tennis Racket, who gifted 5 COTEL Crew memberships to the chat. Thank you so much, Tennis Racket. And I actually have a video that I'll be uploading tomorrow for members only here on YouTube, and that is a comparison of Donald Trump and Cyrus the Great. So there's been, if you are familiar, in 2018, Israel created a temple coin, essentially comparing or insinuating that Donald Trump is a type of Cyrus the Great, allowing the Jews to return to their homeland, all this different stuff, what Cyrus did, building the second temple. And I think this is reference to Trump aiding and abetting the building of the third temple. And this came out when he moved the capital to Jerusalem. So I have that video. That's going to be on YouTube for members only. So if you want to get access to that, please get a COTEL Crew membership. Really appreciate that. Dano throws in 5, says, support the work. Thank you so much, Dano. God bless you. And Holland the Goods throws in 5, says, Eastern Orthodoxy has so much history of saints that are just fascinating. I don't see anything of the sort in any other religion. Have a great Lent. Well, thank you very much, Holland the Goods, for the support, and blessed Lent to you and your family as well. All right. Okay, number 2. So we got 122 of these to get through today. O blessed mountain, how many souls, women and children, you will save when the harsh time comes. And footnote says, spoken in Citrista, northwestern Greece, and elsewhere facing the mountains, which at the time of the Greek Revolution were dens of women and children. So again, the footnotes provide so much historical context for this document. Number 3, blessed are you who are found up here in the high mountains, for they will protect you from many calamities. You will hear danger, but not see it. You will suffer for 3 hours or 3 days. Spoken in the region of, again, the same one, Theatrista. The desire, number 4, event will happen in the 3rd generation. Your grandchildren will see it. So 5 and 6, the desired refers to the return of Constantinople to the Greeks. And then footnote 6, spoken in Himara, this very important prophecy of the saint, which nursed the sweetest hope of the enslaved Greek nation, took amazing verification, because the time of the liberation of the nation is actually the 3rd generation by the year prophesied from the saint, because as we know, each generation is estimated at 25 years. So that's where, again, our Trisagion Films video talked about his prophecies had impeccable timing and precision. Number 5, a time will come when your enemies will take even the ashes from your fire, but do not change your faith as others will. Number 7, again, spoken in Theatrista. I pity you for your pride. My foot will never step here again. And if you do not abandon these things you do, lawlessness and robbery, you will be destroyed. One day, on that very branch where you hang your swords, the gypsies will hang their instruments. Number 7, the red caps will come first, then the English for 54 years, and after that, it will become Roman. So number 7, spoken in Theatrista. Number 8, the borders of the Roman land will be Vavusa, 11 and 12. Oh, actually, let me read these footnotes. That was 9 and 10. So spoken in Cephala, the previous one, talking about the red caps will come first, then the English for 54 years, and after that will be Roman. The footnote says, spoken in Cephalonia on the liberation of the Ionian Islands, red hats are called the French soldiers from the color of their headgear during the Napoleonic period. This prophecy found amazing fulfillment because after the Venetians, the Ionian Islands were taken over by the French, and after their departure, there came the English, whose stay lasted exactly 54 years. That are as many as prophesied by the saint. In 1810, the English seized the Ionian Islands, except Corfu, which surrendered in 1815 to Campbell, and in 1864, they handed it to Greece. So again, you can see the immense accuracy of some of these prophecies. In regards to the borders of the Roman land will be Vavusa, that's 11 and 12. This is the Eos River, and spoken in the Arta, it happened already. See the next prophecy. From there, the Roman land will come, 13. Spoken in Preveza, pointing towards the mainland from where the army of freedom would come. This was fulfilled in 1912. Number 10, there is still much suffering to endure. Remember my words. Pray, act, and endure steadfastly until the wound of the plan tree closes. Your village will be enslaved and miserable. 14. This was said to Saraplana, today Basilicon of Epirus. The wound on the plane tree closed in 1912, the year of Epirus's liberation. Means to work for your own liberation and not passively wait for others to free you. Number 11, when the desired one come, asked the saint of Saraplana of Epirus, When these unite, answered the saint, showing two Spaldings. 15. Spoken in Epirus village, the Spaldings grew together in 1912. And 12, the desired will come when two Paschal celebrations fall together. Now, this is very interesting because it could potentially relate to this year. As the footnote highlights, in 1912, the Annunciation and Pascha celebrations coincided. In 2025, this year, both the Roman Catholic and the Eastern Orthodox Church will celebrate Pascha on the same day of Sunday, April 20th, 2025. 13. When the tree closes and the stake is enclosed within it, then the longed-for event will come. There will be a sign, but do not be afraid. At sunset, go to the mountains, where many souls will find refuge. Take nothing with you, only save your souls, and the hardship will last no more than 24 hours. 14. The villages of the plains will suffer destruction, while those in the foothills of Kosmas will go to sleep as slaves wake up free. 17. So spoken in Larissa. 15. If the cypress dies from the top, Greece will be liberated. If it dies from the bottom, it will not. 18. Spoken in Zelenista. 16. It will come with difficulty. 19. Referring to the arrival of the desired. 17. When you see 1,000 ship fleets and the White Sea, then it will come. I'm going to read all three of these and then read all the footnotes. So we'll begin with footnote 20, but we're going to read 17, 18, 19. When you see the 1,000 ship fleet in Greek waters, then it will come. When you see the 1,000 ship fleet in Greek waters, then the issue of the city, Constantinople, will be resolved. So beginning with footnote 20, a massive naval fleet of several nations, see Prophecy 62. We'll get to that in just a second. 21, a great assembly of warships in the Aegean Sea opposite of the Black Sea, see Prophecy 62. Vlora and Albania. And 23, stay away from the Egnatia in nearby routes. 20, it will come suddenly. Have a sack of wheat hanging by your door. It will delay you as you flee. Do not leave it behind. Take it with you so your children can eat. Oh, I must have skipped a few footnotes. In Avlona, there will be destruction. Armies will come to liberate the land. In Bukorme, much blood will be shed. 23, when you hear what the war has begun, then it is near. 24, villages near roads will suffer greatly. 23, this is where it says, stay away from Ignatia or nearby routes. Villages near roads will suffer greatly. Dropolis will suffer because the land is barren. Dropolis will be filled with armies. The harvest of the year will be lost from fertile Dropolis, and oh, my mother, such blood will be shed. 28, the pits and rocks of Dropolis will be filled as people flee. 26. Actually, I want to read, I skipped that one. Footnote 24, region in northern Epirus, once filled with vineyards, but lacking trees to hide people during battles. This is why St. Cosmas brought olive saplings with him and urged people not to plant vineyards, but instead to grow olives and other trees. This prophecy has already been fulfilled multiple times. And then regarding the Dropolis will be filled with armies, 25. During World War III, which is not yet to come, which the saint referred to as the General War. And again, there's a video that I've shared before of Father Peter Heers talking about the bombing of Iranian nuclear facilities by Israel. This is one of the signs that the great general war has arrived. And another one is the stepping down of Erdogan from Turkey. So these are two things that us Orthodox faithful need to keep our eyes out for. And Erdogan has been losing support in Turkey. It sounds like one of the oppositional political parties are rising in public opinion. And it, from what I've been reading, some of the Muslims in Turkey wish that he had been a little bit more antagonistic towards Israel, which he has not been. And as you guys has recently seen with the fall of Assad, essentially Turkey betrayed Russia. So there was an alliance between Russia and Turkey. And one of the things about the prophecies, we've talked about this before, is that Turkey and Russia are going to be at opposite sides. And this alliance that they'd have in recent years, it didn't make sense exactly how this was going to occur. But with the overthrow of Assad, we see that Turkey betrayed Russia and basically planned this event with Israel. And Israel has taken the southern part of Syria. Turkey has taken the northern part. And then America's, they also have a hand in it and been aiding and abetting some of these radical Islamists in their revolutionary takeover. And this has all been touted as a liberation of the Syrian people, and it's not. Multiple Orthodox clergy have been attacked. I saw one man, he was dragged through the street during this, during this quote unquote liberative revolution. So these are signs that already we can see how things are beginning to line up in ways that we really couldn't even see just a year ago. So very, very interesting stuff. And then 26, this was when the pits and rocks in Dropoulos would be filled as people flee. It says, in the Albanian manuscript, the prophecy is as follows. The mountains, ravines, and plains of Dropoulos will be filled with refugees. So very interesting. 29, the village of Papacy, you will fear in vain. Nothing will happen to you. Only your children who are on the roads will make you weep. Number 30, the Antichrist will leave, but they will come again. Then you will chase them all the way to the red apple. Now, this is very interesting. This is something that I had to look in a little bit. It's kind of a mysterious. Those who are embedded in Greek culture, you probably know what the red apple tree is more than other people. But let's see what the footnote says. And then I have a Wikipedia page on the red apple. So this is 27. The tree means the headquarters of the red flag of the Antichrist, i.e. the bloodthirsty enemies, perhaps in Mecca or the Muslim countries. Now, whenever you hear about the red apple tree, this is one of the things. So this is, according to the Greek people's traditions, the red apple is a legendary place to which the Turks will be expelled from Constantinople, modern-day Istanbul. Now, remember, we've read multiple prophecies before in which a third of the Turks will die, a third will convert to Orthodoxy, and a third of the Turks will flee. And the place in which they'll flee is often referred to as the red apple or the red apple tree. According to the legend, after the liberation of the former Byzantine capital, a marbled king, St. John Vatatzes, we've talked about this before, and the Eschaton Vigil is translating a book right now on St. John Vatatzes, the marbled king, who's going to ascend to the throne and worship Christ at the Church of Hagia Sophia, which will now again be taken over by the Greeks, by the Orthodox Christians. So we're going to be doing a stream in the future on St. John Vatatzes, the marbled king. But according to the folklore, research conducted by Nikolaos Politis, the red apple tree corresponds to monodendrio of the pre-fall Byzantine oracles and prophecies told during the dangerous sieges faced by Constantinople. However, how and when monodendrio was replaced by the red apple tree and what the latter was based on remains unknown. It is likely relevant that the Turkish legend of the red apple, which symbolizes the ultimate goal of conquest, Constantinople was first labeled as the red apple, followed by Rome, Vienna, and Moscow. The legend and the term are also used in modern times. Left and right-wing nationalists who fear a breakup of Turkey if it joins the European Union call themselves the Red Apple Coalition. In early 2018, the legend was invoked by Turkish President Erdogan during the Turkish military operation against the Kurds in Syria. And one of the things that's very interesting, again, is Erdogan's one of the Muslim leaders that made a specific reference to the Muslim invasion of Europe. So as it talks here, the red apple is a Turkish reference to Muslim conquest. First reference to Constantinople, which obviously the Ottomans took over. And then Rome, Vienna, and Moscow. If you guys are familiar, Vienna was the furthest point in which the Ottomans made their way into Europe. Thankfully, they were defeated. But Erdogan made a public statement that the amount of Muslim migration, especially young men, into Europe, he said, this is something that we could never have dreamed of, that the Muslim conquest attempting to take over Europe throughout history could never have dreamed of the amount of Muslims that are now in Europe. And so Erdogan clearly sees this as some type of military conflict. Now, it's not explicit, obviously. It's not like they're all on the same team or all from the same nations even. But he sees this as a sort of warlike maneuver of the Muslim world against the Christian Europe. So very, very interesting little reference there. But the red apple, if you see that come up, now you have a little bit of an understanding. And if we have any Greeks in the chat, feel free to talk a little bit about that, because I'm no expert at all on any of this stuff. I'm just somebody who's very interested and very thankful again to the Eschaton Vigil for translating all this stuff. So 31, and we'll get into footnote 28. It will come when 2 summers and 2 Pascha celebrations arrive together. So that would be this year. So the liberation of northern Epirus from Hoxha's atheistic regime happened in 1991 when Easter and the Annunciation coincided on the old calendar, which was used in St. Cosmas's time. The 2 good times, 2 summers, refer both to the fall of the communist atheist yoke and the democratization of Eastern Europe, as well as the generally good economic state of that era. And then 32, a foreign army will come. They will believe in Christ, but will not know the Greek language. And so just based on me reading, the way that I took this, because we're going to be listening to one of the Greek clergy priests speaking on some of these prophecies, and it's believed that is the Russians. So the Russians, and so the Greek priest tells them that St. Cosmas told the Greeks that when the army comes, to make sure you cross yourself, so the coming military will know that you're an Orthodox Christian and not a Turk, because we have similar facial features. And so the idea here is that the Russians are going to be a liberation force for the Greeks. Okay. 33. A foreign army will come once, and they will believe in Christ, but you will not recognize them. 34. You will go to sleep with some and wake up with others. 29. It will come suddenly. Prophecy 149 in the manuscript reads, at night you will sleep peacefully, and in the morning you will find the streets filled with foreign people. Could that be a reference to the migration? Because one of the things that's happening in Greece right now is the amount of Muslims that are coming in. I've recently had a friend go to Athens, and they couldn't believe how many Muslims there were in the capital city of Greece, in Athens. And so this phenomenon, this Muslim conquest, this invasion, this is part of the fulfilling of prophecy. 35, you will see 3 families living in a house. 36, you will leave your homes to live elsewhere, and others will come to live in yours. 37, you will see 40 horses tied to one stake. Footnote 30, a vehicle with a 40 horsepower engine is what he clarifies in the footnote. 38, many will perish from hunger. 39, the rich will become poor and the poor will die. Reference to 31, footnote 31. And this says, this applies not only to material wealth, but also to spiritual wealth, which is being increasingly eroded by the corruption of our times due to general decline, irreverence, materialism, and immorality. A handful of gold will be worth a handful of flour. Footnote 32 and 33. Prophecy 81 in the manuscript reads, people will dig in their homes to hide wheat for bread, Whoever has a little hidden will not dare take it to the mill. They will grind it in hand mills. And 33 says this was fulfilled during World War II. 41, a time will come when the Romans, the Greeks, will fight among themselves. I recommend unity and love. 42, you will see both my regular army and rebels, guerrilla fighters. You will suffer much from them. 43, they will ask you for rifles. Have two. Give them one and keep the other. One rifle will save 1,000 souls. Footnote 34 and 35. So 34 reads, Prophecy 99 in the manuscript reads, a foreign army will come. They will believe in Christ, but will not know the language. They will ask for weapons. Have two. Give them one and keep the other. You will go to sleep with some and wake up with others. 35, this should be taken seriously by those living near borders, both on land and at sea. 44, a time will come when the world will be ruled by the mute and the deaf. Footnote 36, the mute and deaf refers to lifeless machines and inventions. So moving into the technocracy. These have replaced and continue to replace human labor and dominate people's lives, becoming modern idols worshipped by the materialistic world. Computers are mute as they are nearly silent, and machines are deaf with their constant noise. So very interesting stuff regarding, speculation about the technocracy that's coming in. And this is something that's been related to my suspicions regarding transhumanism and how this may play a role with the Antichrist. Because as we talked about, and I've said this a number of times, St. Nihilus has a quote, very interesting, that the Antichrist will be born without male, the regular means of copulation. So he will be born of some type of scientific means. And the way that we translate it was like in vitro fertilization. And so we are seeing now with Donald Trump, there's a lot of good things that are happening domestically. But one of the things that we were talking about quite a bit last night in the think tank was the immense Zionist push of the United States and the Trump administration right now. I mean, they're passing all these anti-Semitism bills. Even RFK Jr., the head of HHS and health, for some reason was posting about one of his priorities is to end anti-Semitism. And certainly violence against any group of people should be frowned upon. That is not the Christian response. That's not what the saints or the Orthodox tradition calls us to. But it is very interesting the role that Israel plays in a lot of these prophecies. So if you've listened to Metropolitan Neophytos of Morphu, he talks about this quite a bit. And Elon Musk, one of the things that I'm seeing right now, because I was talking with somebody who was very much in favor. They were Christian, they're more Protestant, but they're very much in favor of the things that Elon Musk is doing right now. And I was trying to tell them, look, Doge and making sure the government is smaller, more efficient, doing away with corruption and malfeasance regarding the spending of tax money. That is fantastic. Those are great things. However, the reason why I believe Elon Musk is part of this Trump administration is what I'm seeing is that it looks to be some type of an agreement. And so Trump, he wants to take us back to a sort of, an 1890s economic model in the United States where the U.S. has tons of gold. We manufacture our own goods, domestic labor, and the ability for people to live here to spend their money, housing prices, basically domestic prosperity built upon low taxes and higher tariffs. Okay, fantastic. One of the things that is speculated by people I've been listening to is that there's been an agreement with Trump. The reason why he's allowed to do this in face of the central banks and all this different stuff, the Federal Reserve, is that there's an agreement for the Greater Israel Project. And so the Greater Israel Project clearly aligns with prophecies regarding the end times and events that are going to come regarding the arrival of the Antichrist. Now, I'm not saying this is immediate. We don't know the timeline, right? We're just supposed to use the wisdom of the saints and the wisdom of the church to try to, have some type of awareness so that we can see the signs and the symbols when they emerge in history. and Israel bombing the nuclear facilities of Iran is that sign. So that's something that you guys have to keep your eyes out. If Israel bombs the nuclear facilities of Iran, or if Erdogan steps down from Turkey, these are signs that we have to keep our eyes open for. However, the Greater Israel Project is the sort of prophetic dimension of these people, these Jews, these Zionists who are anticipating the arrival of their Messiah, which is our Antichrist. It's essential for them to expand Israel. This is part of their prophecy. This is part of what they're trying to do, their mission. And Netanyahu is part and parcel of this. So when we see what's happening in America, what it appears to be is there's like a coalition between Trump and domestic prosperity, the geopolitical alliance between the U.S. and Israel for the Greater Israel Project, and then Elon Musk and the technocrats. Now, what you say, well, why are the technocrats? Because if Elon Musk wants to build the things that he wants to build, Neuralink, advanced artificial intelligence, Starlink, rockets to Mars, all this different stuff, whether you think that's possible or not, regardless, this is at least his public statements. He needs an incredibly efficient America. He needs America that has oil, that has energy, that has natural gas, rare minerals, so that his companies can thrive and he can actually build all this technology. So to create his technocracy, to create the global technologically interconnected world that Elon Musk wants, you can see how the Trump administration is sort of the pinpoint of where all these three things align. And this is why you're seeing, the inability to talk about Israel. And so Pam Bondi failing to release the Epstein files. This is something that's tied to this. And so I think it's because the Trump administration has essentially made this pact with Israel. And I'm not saying that Trump's a big fan of Netanyahu. It doesn't appear that he is. But he's made it and if you saw the amount of money that he got for, it's like in the $200 million of specifically Zionist money for the Trump election in 2024. So I think we need to be aware of all this stuff coming together. The technocracy, Elon Musk wanting domestic prosperity, wanting a more efficient, self-determined America, self-sufficient America. Trump wanting to create sort of domestic economic prosperity, and then the Greater Israel Project, and how all this stuff is really tied with this sort of eschatological vision here. Exactly. Miriam Edelson, absolutely. Adelson's money. And doesn't she own like the Mavs too? She owns tons of stuff, like casinos, gambling facilities in Las Vegas, tons of different stuff. So just keep your guys' eyes out for all this stuff. And you can see how these prophecies, although they're from the 18th century, this is St. Cosmas, and we've already shown how prophetic, how precise some of these prophecies are. It absolutely relates to not only contemporary Greece and the invasion of the Turks, but the world itself and the movement towards the Antichrist and the Antichrist kingdom. So just want to throw that out there. Sorry to take that little route. Anyways, next one, 45. The cause of the Great War will come from Dalmatia, 37. And so the footnote reads, it's a big footnote. From that region sprang the circumstances for both world wars. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, whose assassination on June 28, 1914, triggered the First World War, and Adolf Hitler, who ignited the Second, were both Austrians. In the Second World War, enemy troops, Italians and Germans, attacked Greece from the north, passing through Dalmatian territories. The wars in the former Yugoslavia, starting in 1991, destabilized the Balkans further. The situation worsened in March 1999 with NATO's war in Serbia and the escalation of the Kosovo issue instead of its resolution. This intervention was part of the New World Order strategy to fully control the strategic corridor of Avlona, the Adriatic, to Burgas, the Black Sea. Fortunately for Greece, the immediate interest of the global elite shifted to the Middle East, delaying their plans for the Aegean. However, when you see the 1,000 ships in the waters, then the rest of the prophecies will unfold. So again, a reference to one of the earlier prophecies. 46. Oh, here we go. 46, the cause of the Great War will come from Dalmatia. First, Austria will be divided, and then Turkey. So 38. The Austro-Hungarian Empire was dissolved in 1918, and Yugoslavia, once under its occupation, was later partitioned after 1990. Now it appears that it is Turkey's turn. All right. 47, the destruction will be done by a scruffy man. 39 and 40. 39 reads, Cassidiari in Greek. 40 says prophecy. 47 in the Albanian manuscript reads, the destruction will come from a blind and scruffy man. Scruffy refers to someone suffering from coccidia, meaning alopecia or scruff. Literally someone with alopecia, or symbolically someone corrupted mentally, quote, infected by an ideology such as globalization, syncretistic religion, so perennialism, or extreme nationalism, Zionism. Notably, a group of Kabbalistic Jews called the Hasidim hold significant influence throughout their rabbis, even outside Israel. On July 12, 2001, they announced the immediate arrival of Israel's King Messiah, the Hasidim, and trace their spiritual lineage. So it goes on. Or is that from? Yeah. Yes. Trace their spiritual lineage to ancient Babylon, where they adopted esoteric knowledge from pagans. They bypassed Mosaic law, following the Babylonian Talmud and Kabbalah. It is said that they influenced many politicians, including former U.S. President George H.W. Bush, who announced the start of the New World War during the Gulf War. The Hasidim reportedly supported George W. Bush as the ideal successor to continue his father's work. The second interpretation of scalp disease could relate to the mark of a chip or an Antichrist symbol, such as a Masonic or Zionist emblem, or the number 666, also refer to prophecy number 80. So we'll get to that in just a little bit. Prophecy 48. They will try to resolve it with the pen, but they will not succeed. 99 times with war and once with the pen. Prophecy 49. If three powers agree, nothing will happen to you. 50. If the issue is resolved through war, you will suffer great destruction. Out of three countries, only one will remain. 51. A time will come when you will hear nothing. And so this is footnote 41 and 42. 41 says, or learn, and 42 reads, end of communication, radios, televisions, etc. This was also fulfilled in Albania under the Hoxha, where people were kept in misery with only 50 grams of bread per person per day. To prevent rebellion, he isolated them from the outside world and claimed that Greece and the West were living under even worse conditions. 52, Prophecy 52, whatever they ask from you, give it. Just save your souls. And then footnote 43. So prophecy 107 in the manuscript reads, the doors will be closed. People will be afraid to go outside. Prophecy 53, they will find silver in the trees. They will not bend down to pick it up, but for a single stalk of wheat, they will fight to the death over who gets it first. Footnote 44, it reads, a great famine will strike. People will search desperately for food in supermarkets. Beyond the hunger caused by the lack of goods, Apollus's manuscripts speak of another kind of hunger brought about by inadequate food. Quote, your plates will be full, but the food will be inedible, unquote. Similarly, Athanasopoulos' manuscript foretells, quote, a time will come when you will have all kinds of goods, but you will not dare to eat them, unquote. This points to genetically modified, contaminated, and otherwise tainted foods. And this is something that was already brought up by Metropolitan Neophytos. Remember when we did the stream on Metropolitan Neophytos? he already talked about how genetically modified meat and bread and food was already present in Cyprus, and he was telling his parishioners to do not eat it. Do not eat the genetically modified food. Looks like we have a couple super chats. Tooth Chickens throws in $2, says, like the World War Now channel. Yeah, I'm friends with the World War Now guys. Yeah, they're good guys, and we'll probably talk about some of this stuff in the near future. I haven't spoke with them in a few months, but yeah, absolutely. Abject Fool throws in 20. Thank you so much, Abject Fool. He says, I listened to Sam Shamoon talk to a Jew yesterday. The Jews derive ethnicity from the mother and the tribe from the father, I guess. What does that mean about the Antichrist then? Well, in regard to the prophecies that we have, he will be born from a ritual harlot woman. So speculate, and this is just, we don't know the full context, right? We do know that the Antichrist will be Jewish, and he'll be born of a Jewish mother. Now, as I mentioned, the Prophecies of St. Nihilus, he speculates that he will be born of some type of technological insemination, and that in regards to the inversion of Christ himself, who is born by the Spirit through the Annunciation by the Virgin, that there'll be a sort of the total inversion as a harlot ritual sort of sex worker, or some variation of, and that potentially in an inversion of Christ's Annunciation of being born of the Spirit, that the Antichrist could be born of like artificial insemination or genetic engineering, something of that sort. But he will be born of a Jewish mother, and he'll be from the tribe of Dan. So that is something that everybody's pretty clear on. And just let me check real quick and see if anybody sent anything in. Magdalene throws in $10 on Dono Chat. Thank you very much, Magdalene. No comment. And let me check Streamlabs real quick, see if anybody sent any questions. Okay, doesn't look like it. All right, let's continue on here. So that was footnote 44. So prophecy 54, the disaster will come from the educated ones. So footnote 45 and 46. What does this mean, the educated? 46 reads, the inventions of the educated, which we now take pride in, including the modern predatory economic system. In Arnia, there is a saying, quote, when the young rule, disaster will come. Another saying promises, quote, refugees from the east will come to help Macedonia, unquote. Indeed, Greek origin Orthodox repatriates from Russia, Georgia, Ukraine, etc. have come and are settling in Macedonia. 55. It will last either 3 days, 3 months, or 3 years. 47. So footnote 47 reads, this pattern has been confirmed in numerous instances during the struggle to liberate Greek territories from the Turks. Another prophecy declares, quote, it will last 2 days or 2 months. Regarding northern Epirus, the saint foretold, quote, your freedom will come either a little before or a little after the issue of the city, Constantinople. It seems that Albania's Muslim population will ally with the dying Turkey against Greece, possibly even fighting alongside them. Turkey already has a base in Albania. After Turkey's downfall, Albania will come under the control of a Greek ruler favored by God, governing from Constantinople. Quote, little before likely refers to the partial freedom of northern Epirus after the borders opened in 1991. Interesting. Okay, prophecy 56. A time will come when the harmony that exists today between the people and the clergy will no longer be. Footnote 48. In other words, during this era, St. Cosmas affirmed a harmonious relationship between clergy and the laity. 57. The clergy will become the worst and most impious of all. Footnote 49. That reads, when the saint said this, some clergy in the audience were offended and said, quote, Saint, this is a great insult to us, unquote. The saint replied, and what am I? Am I not from your order? I tell you, one day this will happen, unquote. First come moral failures, then spiritual darkness takes over, leading to heresies and even apostasy. The saint speaks both of a moral corruption and a doctrinal error, such as religious syncretism, and the one world religion. Another manuscript states, quote, the clergy will become like the laity and the laity will become like animals, unquote. He also said, quote, listen, my Christian brothers, a time will come when the harmony between clergy and laity that exists today will disappear. When a priest visits a layman's home, as soon as he leaves, they will burn incense to cleanse the house. If he sits on a bed, they will shake it off after he leaves. If people meet a clergyman on the road, they will turn back instead of continuing their way, unquote. So very interesting stuff. Next one, Prophecy 58. In the city of Constantinople, so much blood will be shed that a 3-year-old calf will float in it. Prophecy 50. And this is something that we've read multiple times in some of the earlier works. According to a 2003 edition of Mikera Zaimi, the Little Doe, published in the village of Thermo in Trihonida, Greece, he stated, a 6-fingered man handed over the city, a 6-fingered man will take it back. Interesting. 59. Blessed is he who lives after the great war. He will eat with a silver spoon. And this is also, remember, we've talked about before the state of America after the Great War, and there's the belief that America is actually going to become incredibly pious. So we don't know exactly the amount of destruction. I've talked about this before, but I'll just reiterate. America is not going to face a direct military conflict like some of the other parts of the world, like the Levant, like Greece, like the Caucasus region. Rather, America is going to have an internal civil war and great geological events. So could it be the volcano in Yellowstone erupts? Possibly, something of that sort. So they speculate anywhere between 60 and 90% of America may perish during the Great War or whatever this great catastrophe is. But those who survive and those who live after the Great General War will be incredibly pious Christians. And the idea is that America is actually going to become one of the more pious Orthodox nations in the world after the Great War. Prophecy number 60. After the Great War, the wolf will live with the lamb. Footnote 51. Footnote 51 reads, and the wolf shall gaze with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid. Says the prophet Isaiah 11:6. According to St. Basil the Great, this points to the spread of the gospel, quote, predicting the union of foreign nations that would take place in Christ. Isaiah spoke in this way, unquote. 39th homily on the Annunciation. Thus, on a spiritual level, the wicked, i.e. the wolves, are transformed into pious lambs. Meanwhile, St. John Chrysostom clarifies that in Scripture, the wolf represents the predatory rich, and the lamb represents the poor. Therefore, during the blink of Orthodox Christianity after World War III, St. Cosmas' words will be fulfilled both spiritually and in everyday life. Prophecy 61. First, a false Roman state will come. Do not believe in it. It will retreat. Prophecy 62. The 1,000-ship fleet will gather at Sakaloma, and red-coated soldiers will come to fight for you. Prophecy 52, footnote 52. We speak of a 1,000-ship navy. This isn't limited to our own vessels. It refers to an international fleet of like-minded nations cooperating on security operations around the globe. Prophecy 63, and here we get back to the red apple. The Turks will leave, but they will return again and reach as far as Axamilia. In the end, they will be driven to the red apple tree. 1/3 of the Turks will be killed, 1/3 will be baptized, and 1/3 will reach the red apple. So exactly what I was mentioning earlier. And this has footnotes 53 and 54. So let's read those. 53, 6-mile location. It says regarding Axamilia. And then 54 reads, red apple tree, a place that enslaved Greeks envisioned deep within Great Asia. See also Prophecy 30. And that's what, remember I brought this up here. So those that are from Greece are going to know a little bit more about the red apple tree and how that works than I do. But it's not for certain, but it's, it's speculated that it may be in Persia, it may be in ancient Babylonia, so like modern day Iraq or something like that. It's not sure, but the surviving Turks, the third that survive, that's where they're going to flee, where the third that convert, I mean, they'll survive too, but they'll convert to Orthodoxy. Prophecy 64. So many terrible things will happen that mothers will give birth prematurely from fear. Prophecy 65. There will be no animals left. They will be eaten. You should eat them too. You will find new livestock in Somerka. And then footnote 55 reads, those who can should flee to high mountains away from road. The Albanian manuscript says there will be no horses left. You will go with them. You will reestablish their breed from Tuzmerka. Prophecy 66. Do not build big homes. Build yards with fences so they cannot enter. And then footnote 56 reads, St. Cosmas explains that those who own large and luxurious houses will lose them when war breaks out, as they will be occupied or turned into military headquarters, just as happened during World War I and World War II. Instead, build enclosed courtyards with gates to prevent easy access. Prophecy 67. They will impose heavy and unbearable taxes, but they will not have time to collect them. Footnote 57 reads, something major will happen like the outbreak of a great war. The next two prophecies confirm this. Taxes skyrocketed after Greece joined the EEC, now the European Union, and continue to rise. Prophecy 68, they will tax chickens and windows. 58, domestic animals and homes, this has already happened, meaning events are close. Only military conscription remains yet to be fulfilled. Prophecy 69, they will also try to conscript you into the army, but they will not have time. And then footnote 59 reads, the Allies are planning more peacekeeping wars. During NATO's bombing of Serbia, U.S. Secretary of State Madeleine Albright said similar interventions would continue for 25 to 50 years, but God's plans are different. And we can hear the same rhetoric right now with Ukraine and Russia. Sounds like Trump and Putin are making arrangements, and that direct flights between the U.S. and Moscow are getting ready to resume again. Trading and the sanctions are going to be lifted. And so there's real opportunity here between the United States and Russia. But what do we hear from Zelensky? We hear Zelensky, the Khazar president of Ukraine, he wants NATO peacekeeping forces. What does that mean? That means NATO soldiers in Ukraine up against the Eastern Territory that Russia controls. That's not going to happen. That's non-negotiable, right? Russia is not going to allow Ukraine to enter NATO. But as the footnotes here read, this has to do with this perpetuation of war, this just ongoing war, in reference to Madeleine Albright, that is going to continue for 25 to 50 years. Okay. Next one, Prophecy 70. The Turks will learn the secret 3 days earlier than the Christians. Footnote 60. It reads, the Albanian manuscript reads, the Turks will realize in 3 days earlier than the Christians. This may refer to a new conflict involving our region, possibly the Aegean, continental shelf, and Cyprus, which will develop overtly with military presence such as NATO ships and soldiers serving foreign interests. The Turks, being more networked and experienced in such matters, will understand its purpose before we do. Prophecy 70. When you hear that the war has started from below, then it is near. And then footnote 61, he says, begins below. It's referencing the south. Prophecy 71. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the one I just read. Prophecy 72. If the war starts from below, you will suffer little. If it starts from above, you will be destroyed. And this is footnote 62, 63, and 64. So 62 is the Greeks. 63, when it's above, is referencing the north. And then footnote 64 reads, the cause or the spark will come from the north, specifically the Dalmatia Kosovo region, just as it did when the NATO intervention in 1999. This marks the beginning of an east-west clash of interest under the New World Order, and the South will inevitably be drawn into it. Prophecy 73, the rocks and pits will be filled with people. 74, it will come suddenly, either the ox in the field or the horse at the threshing floor. Footnote 65 reads, October or July is what that references. Now moving to the next page here, Prophecy 75 reads, it pains me to tell you, today, tomorrow, we expect great thirst, great famines, where we will offer thousands of gold coins and not find a piece of bread. Footnote 66 reads, the manuscript reads, quote, the fountains will dry up and the rivers will become polluted. The Claviopolu manuscript reads, a time will come when great thirst will strike and the devil will go around with his pumpkins full of water. He will only give it to his own. This mainly refers to the time of the Antichrist when people will bear the mark or a chip. Prophecy 76. After the war, people will travel half an hour just to find another person and make them a brother. Footnote 67. In some places, like Turkey, things will be even worse. Elder Paisio said, there you'll have to walk 7 hours to find another person. Prophecy 77. Do not plant vineyards, for they will be destroyed like those in Dryaноpolis. Prophecy 78. A paper kingdom will be established, which will have a great future in the east. Footnote 68. Another manuscript reads small rather than great. Oh, interesting discrepancy. Prophecy 79. People will become so poor that they will tie their hands with vine branches. Prophecy 80. The cause will come from Dalmatia. And then that's a footnote 69, and it reads, prophecy number 101 in the Triantafialo manuscript reads, the very great war will begin from a small country. Prophecy 102 reads, the war will start from a small Ottoman state. The Greeks will enter the war last as undertakers. In the end, the Christians will win. Prophecy 108 reads, when war breaks out in Dalmatia and a marked man appears, one who leads in corruption, the end of the world will be near. Prophecy number 81. France will liberate many Greek territories, especially the Italians. 82. France will liberate Greece and Italy will liberate Epirus. Footnote 70. Epirus is in northwest Greece. Prophecy 83. Through three narrow passes, Cropsy, and Musina, many armies will pass on their way to the city of Constantinople. It is best for women and children to flee to the mountains. They will ask you if the city is far. Do not tell them the truth, or they will mistreat you. This army will not reach the city. Midway, they will learn that the war is over. And then footnote 71 is a long footnote that reads, this suggests that forces will pass through these areas in Albania, intending to capture Constantinople, which by then will already be under Russian control and defended against Western forces. This army is likely reinforcements consisting of reservists from Western countries. It is wise to remain silent about what is happening and not reveal what we know from the prophecies. Another manuscript states, quote, from three narrow passes, armies will pass toward the city. They will ask you how far it is. You should say it is close, because they will be tired and may harm you. Another version says, filthy armies from the western lands will pass through asking where the city is, whether it is near. Those who say it is near will be left alone. Those who say it is far will be killed. This suggests that these troops will be unwilling to hear about a prolonged war and will not tolerate opinions different from their own. Yet another prophecy warns, quote, "Woe to those in the plains. Filthy nations will come. Do not fear them when they arrive. Fear them when they leave," unquote. This means they will be immoral and stubborn. Be cautious and keep your distance. The most dangerous moment will be when they withdraw after the war ends. Looks like somebody just sent in a super chat. Michael and Adriana White throws in 5. Thank you so much, Michael and Adriana. Really appreciate the support. God bless you guys. Blessed Lent to you. Okay, next one. Prophecy 84. A time will come when the devil will go around with his pumpkin. So this one says satellites. Interesting. 85. You will see some people going up and others going down. 86. Freedom will come from below, from where the water flows. Footnote 73. This happened in the Greek Revolution in some areas and also in Egypt at the Nile with its abundant waters. At El Almian, associated with St. Minas, Rommel was defeated, decided the outcome of the Second World War. Very interesting. 87. Prophecy 87. From above and from the stairway, do not expect destruction. So footnote 74 and 75, they read 74 Scala. 75 is in the Calivio Popolu manuscript. The word "not" is rendered as "to," and this is the correct reading. It accurately reflects what occurred during the Wars of Liberation from the Turkish yoke, as well as during the First and Second World Wars. And then the last one, 88 here, one loaf of bread will be lost in half and another completely. Prophecy 89, a time will come when a woman will drive away 10 Turks with her spindle. Footnote 76 and 77, a tool used in spinning wool. And then 77 reads, when the Russians swiftly and unexpectedly conquer Turkey, Turkish military units stationed abroad will realize they no longer have a homeland. At that point, they will not know where to hide. Prophecy 90, the curse the Pope, for he will be the cause. Footnote 78. The Pope and the Vatican as a state intervene everywhere to further their interest. In fact, the Pope has already openly expressed support for the New World Order, which has fueled bloodshed in many countries long before the final devastation of the Third World War. Notably, St. Cosmas prophetically rules out any possibility of the Pope repenting or renouncing his falsehood, for only demons remain unrepentant. Very interesting. Prophecy 91, the destruction of the land will come from an official with a certain name. And then footnote 79, the name is illegible on the manuscript, perhaps made so intentionally. Prophecy 92, many villages will be destroyed, 3 countries will become one. Prophecy 93, have 3 doors. If they take one, escape through another. Prophecy 94, if one hides behind a door, they will survive. It will be a hurried event. Prophecy 95, pray that it happens during the day and not at night, in summer and not in winter. Prophecy 96, people will become poor because they do not love the trees. Prophecy 98, people will become poor because they will become lazy. Prophecy 98, destruction will come from above, from within the harbor. And then footnote 80 reads, this was also demonstrated at Pearl Harbor during the Second World War. 99 reads, they will throw a lot of money at you, but when they ask to take it back, they will not be able to. Footnote 81 reads, elsewhere it is written, they will not have time. Large financial aid packages and loans will be given to control us economically. However, due to major event, likely the outbreak of the Great War, They will not manage to take their money back. This aligns with Prophecy 67. They will impose a heavy and unbearable tax, but they will not have time to collect it. Prophecy 100. You will save others, and others will save you. 101. You will flee to the left side mountains, not to the right. Do not be afraid of the caves. 102. It will come suddenly. The horses will remain harnessed as at their work, and you will flee. Footnote 82 reads, people will leave so urgently, they will leave their lights, AC, ovens, etc. on. 103. It will happen in the 8th century. 8th, and then it says great century. Footnote 83 reads, the 8th great century refers to the period between the years 7,000 and 8,000 from Adam. Since Christ was born in the year 5,508 from Adam, the year 1992 corresponded to 7,500 years, according to this reckoning by the Church Fathers, which differs from the Jewish calendar, according to which it was 5,752. Thus, the year 2025 AD is counted as 7,533 years since Adam. 104. Hide either near the door or near the stone slab, if it happens suddenly and quickly. Footnote 84 reads, to escape quickly. 105, many things will happen. Cities will end up like shanty towns. And then Prophecy 106, a time will come when the cursed demon will come out of its shell. Footnote 85 is a long one. And it reads, technology, especially televisions, will be used by the Antichrist and his people to deceive the world with the hidden cooperation of evil spirits who will conceal their malice and perform deceptive false miracles. The connection between technological devices and demonic forces will become so close that the device will correspond to the shell and the demonic force to the creature living inside it. Television will be the starting point of the deception because it will be demonic spirits playing the role of deceivers. It will even be possible to have live, quote, live conversations without a television being turned on or even present. However, to avoid frightening people too soon, the evil spirits will first use technological devices. Due to the world's general apostasy from God, Satan will be unleashed, as Revelation states, and demons will gain power over men as in the pre-Christian era. They will find the most suitable broadcasters who will be their puppets, and through them, not only by reason, but also by demonic suggestion, they will convince people through television of the necessity of a global ruler for world peace. Then they will present this candidate, i.e. the Antichrist, who in cooperation with evil spirits will appear capable and powerful, instilling in the minds of every viewer the impression that he is the charismatic leader humanity needs. He will perform miracles, suggested miracles, and it continues here. We'll read all this. In general, he will project his illusions into all screens, creating the impression of divine power in his favor. The results will be so terrifying that only the elect Christians will escape, probably because they will not own a television. After his initial acceptance, the forces of evil will become even bolder. This is likely what St. John the theologian means in Revelation when he says that the false prophet will cause the image of the beast, the Antichrist, to speak live. This is even more terrifying because after the Antichrist is accepted as the global leader, things will have progressed for the worse, and devices will no longer even be necessary as a means of deception. Today, with television and projectors, it is not impressive for an image to, quote, speak, especially with LCD screens and now resemble framed pictures. But the false prophet will not be using, quote, known devices at the time. People today are not deceived by televisions that look like picture frames because they live in a technological age. Much less will future generations be fooled. The image of the beast that will deceive the world in Revelation will not speak relying primarily on technology, but through magical, supernatural imposition on every non-believing viewer. Then, for example, Even simple paintings of the Antichrist will be placed at strategic locations on streets and squares. And from there, the depicted figure will suddenly come to life, appear three-dimensional, influencing the imagination of the non-elect, and command people to worship him and receive his mark. Prophecy 107. A false prophet will come once. Do not believe him and do not rejoice in him. He will leave again and will not return. Prophecy 108. A time will come when Christians will rise up against one another. Prophecy 109. Have a cross on your forehead so that you may be recognized as Christians. And then footnote 86 reads, especially in the areas with Muslims, it is necessary for Christians to have the cross in a visible place so that they are not mistakenly struck by the liberation forces. Again, this is where the Orthodox priest that I'm going to show you guys here in just a bit, he was talking about making sure you cross yourself publicly so that the liberated forces will know that you're Orthodox. Prophecy 110. The army will not reach the city, Constantinople. Midway, the news will come that the desired event has arrived. Footnote 87. This is another, this is a long footnote. And prophecy 32 of the Triantafilou manuscript, St. Cosmas declared, quote, the great battle will take place in the city. All nations will gather there, and so much blood will be spilled that a calf will swim in it. The blonde race will emerge victorious. We will be with the blonde race, unquote. Note this does not imply that the Greeks will become military allies with the Russians, i.e. the blonde race. As noted elsewhere and supported by Elder Paisios of the Holy Mountain, they will remain independent, though emotionally united as Orthodox people. The war's leaders will pursue earthly conquest with materialistic and predatory motives. And while Russia may not prevail in every phase of the war, as other prophecies suggest, in the end, Orthodoxy, long persecuted, will triumph and be proclaimed worldwide. And prophecy 75, St. Cosmas is reported to have spoken in Caria of Mount Olympus, quote, a time will come when the Russian race will come down to go to the Jews, where a war will take place, and a 3-year-old calf will be drenched in blood. It will be a regular army. You will not suffer anything from them, but from the rabble you will suffer much. If they pass through Avlona, rejoice. Rejoice for Macedonia. If they pass through Macedonia, woe to Macedonia. A great evil will occur, unquote. Note, the troops passing by either the Egnatia route to Macedonia or near Vlora, Albania, will be reserved from Western armies destined to fight the Russians. Particularly after the war, these forces, disintegrating into rebel groups, perhaps alongside local gangs, will plunder indiscriminately. Therefore, it is far better if they do not pass through Macedonia, northern Greece. Prophecy 103 reads, when the Egnatia road is built, the armies will pass through it. The head of the armies will reach Constantinople, and the tail will be in Vlora. Around 1875, when the Virgin Mary appeared in the village of Armenio, near the border of Larissa and Magnesia regions, she informed the villagers through a simple shepherd about a buried holy spring in the area. This was indeed found, and a church dedicated to the life-giving spring was built. She also said that buried in the earth remains an icon of hers, the first of the 3 painted by the evangelist Luke during her lifetime. However, she did not allow the shepherd named Ioannis to reveal the location of the icon to the workers when they were digging. But she did say that the icon would be found after the Great War, when Constantinople is reduced to dust and only 1/3 of humanity remains. Ioannis also said that the war would happen when Avlona opens. Avlona in northern Epirus first opened in 1991 with the fall of Enver Hoxha's regime. It was a port without a road, but now the Para Ignatia, which starts from there and extends to Burgas, Bulgaria, is nearly completed, perhaps a matter of just a few years or even months, as is Greece's own Agnatia. So beautiful clarity there in the footnotes. Prophecy at 111. Go, and on the road you will be rewarded. Footnote 88. At Dervistani, it was reported that a man who made ironic remarks about the saint was later wounded on his journey by one of his enemies. Tell those idols not to come here, but to turn back. Footnote 89. While teaching in Assos, the saint paused his sermon for a moment and sent one listener to the local ruler's house with a message. This man then left and encountered 4 aristocratic ladies dressed indecently who were on their way to attend the saint's preaching. Prophecy 113. You build ornate houses, but you will not live in them. Footnote 90 reads, the saint spoke these words in Assos while passing through a newly constructed house soon after all its owners died, except for one nun. Prophecy 114, this child will prosper, govern Greece, and be glorified. Footnote 91. This was said about Ioannos Koletis, who later became governor. And then prophecy 115, you will become a great man. You will conquer all of Albania, subdue Preveza, Praga, Soli, Delvino, Gardiki, and even Kurt Pasha's palace. You will leave a great name in the world, and you will go to the city, but the Redbeards. This is the will of divine providence. However, throughout your rule, remember to love and protect Christians if you wish your power to remain with your successors. Footnote 92. This was spoken in Tepelini about the Ali Pasha. His severed head was taken to the city, and his beard was stained red with blood. Prophecy 116. Things will come out of schools that the mind cannot imagine. We already see in that for sure. Transgenderism. Did you guys see what was it? Connecticut, one of in their Congress or their House, they wanted to install condom and sex machines, vending machines, as low as first grade. First grade, they're trying to put sex vending machines in schools. I'm not even kidding. So, boy, is that not the case. Things will come out of the schools that the mind cannot imagine. Prophecy 117. You will see a carriage in the plains without horses, running faster than a hare. Prophecy 118. And obviously that's a reference to cars. So this is, again, one of the prophecies regarding automobiles. You will see a carriage in the plains without horses running faster than a hare. This is one of the prophecies about technological advance in automobiles. 118, a time will come when the land will be girded with a thread. Footnote 93 reads, spoken at Assos, it refers to telecommunication wires. Prophecy 119, a time will come when people will speak from one distant place to another as if they were in adjacent rooms. For example, from the city to Russia. Footnote 94. This is most likely about telecommunications, using phones or the internet. It could also be regarded modern apartment living and contemporary mentality. The saint also remarked, Prophecy 79, a time will come when people will shut themselves in large boxes and their parents will die alone in small boxes. Prophecy 120. You will see people flying in the sky like blackbirds, dropping fire upon the world. Those who live then will run to the graves and cry out, come out, you dead, so that we, the living, may enter. And so here we see again a prophecy referencing airplanes in the mid-18th century and bombs, aerial bombs. So this is way before their existence. Prophecy 95, or footnote 95 reads, the 5 consecutive prophecies, 116 through 120, of the saint clearly refer to the great inventions of our century. The cars without horses represents trains and motor vehicles. The thread that winds around the world symbolizes communication cables. The blackbirds that will throw fire upon the earth are the aircraft in the Air Force. Remarkably, these prophecies by St. Cosmas were recorded in books about a century before the corresponding inventions appeared. Oh, and Prophecy 121, the evil will come up to the cross and will not be able to go further down. Do not be afraid. Do not leave your homes. Footnote 96. This was said in the region of Polinarion. Indeed, in 1940, the Italians reached the location called Stavros, where the saint had preached, and stopped there. And then our last prophecy here, 122, when the branch where the cross stands falls, a great evil will come from the direction it points. And when the tree falls, an even greater evil will come. And then footnote 97 reads, this was said in the village of Tsarki, now called Agios, Cosmas in Grevna. Indeed, in 1940, the branch of the cross fell towards Albania, from where the Italians attacked, and in 1947, the tree fell when the area was completely destroyed during the Greek Civil War. And then here's some additional footnotes that the Eschaton Vigil put together. Guys, smash that like. And I want to remind everybody, if you want to have this document, the Eschaton Vigil has provided the opportunity. You guys can literally download this document for free. All you do is give us your email address. I'm going to share that link with you guys again. Here it is right here. Right here. Click that link, go to the website, and you can download this document for your own edification. Keep it in your library, print it off. And as I said, we're also going to be doing one, which I think may be turned into a book. We're not sure yet, but we're going to be covering just the prophecies of St. Paisios in another stream in the near future. But here's some additional notes. Regarding moral transgression, the saint is recorded as saying, we will see and experience Sodom and Gomorrah in our country. This statement refers to homosexuality. For instance, according to a news report in January of 27, 2006, the European Parliament has recently taken steps to expose what it sees as corruption of Europe. The report stated, the European Parliament is leading the legal effort to establish the perversion and its protection in EU countries, apparently setting as a standard the ethical principles of Sodom and Gomorrah. It promotes resolutions supporting homosexuality. In this context, MEPs voted for a proposal of a joint resolution of the political groups with 468 votes in favor and 149 against and 41 abstaining. With this resolution, any discrimination based on sexual orientation is condemned, and member states are urged to ensure the protection of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people from homophobic hate speech and violence. The report further noted the member states and the commission must also intensify efforts through educational means in schools, universities, and the media, and adopt administrative, legislative, and legal measures against homophobia. In other words, even children may be subject to a progressive and forceful imposition of what is termed sodomitic education. In the land of the blind, the one who sees is forbidden. However, just as the sins of Sodom and Gomorrah were punished by fire, so too will those transgressions be punished in the coming Third World War. This is a message that ought to be taught in schools as well. Let us recall the words of Elder Sophronia of Mount Athos and later of Essex regarding the end times. Quote, when the new children who are born are so distorted that they can no longer know the true God, then the end will come. The advanced corruption validates St. Cosmas's early description of the filthy nations and filthy crowds of Asperia places, terms referring to the troops that will stand against the Russians. And Chalkidiki, where the St. Cosmas taught, elders whose testimony was passed down by Captain Mr. Paraskevas, recount that when the saint was asked about the timeline of events in the city, he provided two preceding signs. One, the villages will be united, and two, Caravasaros and Athos will flourish. Here, Caravasaros refers to a region of Mount Athos resembling a small cape between Daphne and Simon Petra Monastery. Today, the villages have been united not through increased population density, but through administrative consolidation, first under the Capodistrias plan and later under the Callicrates plan. Moreover, the once barren area of Cravasaras is now populated not by crops, but by cells of Russian monks. In fact, President Putin himself expressed interest in them during his 2005 visit to Mount Athos. Thus, both of these prophetic points have been fulfilled. Source notes: the above text and details are primarily drawn from St. Cosmas of Aetolias by Metropolitan Augustine Cantiotis, as edited by the Orthodox Missionary Brotherhood of the Cross. Additional prophecies have been incorporated from key sources: the prophecies of St. Kosmas of Aetolias in history, and St. Cosmas the Aetolias life and prophecies. The explanatory note were provided by monk Leontios of Dionysiou Monastery of Mount Athos during 2005 and early 2006. The text was originally translated from Greek to English in 2011 by monk Leontios. So again, guys, that is an overview of our document here. Go download it, keep it in your notes. You can have it for free. Just provide the Eschaton Vigil with your email address. That's all you need. So pretty interesting stuff, right? Again, guys, this is all coming from the mid 18th century, the 1700s.